Is a dead end. There's no coming back from it. Or so they say, and Jurassic Park is disproven. These animals on our list survived apparent extinction and against all odds still live today. Especially number 1, which can be considered the most ancient animal on this list, so watch out for that. Here are 10 animals that came back from extinction. Number 10. The gastric brooding frog. The southern gastric brooding frog was discovered in 1972 in the mountains of Queensland, Australia. But the world only took notice of it in 1974 when somebody discovered the quite repulsive way it reproduced. Simply put, the mother frog converts her stomachs into a womb. She swallows her own eggs and stops making hydrochloric acid in her stomach to avoid digesting her own young. Around 20 to 25 tadpoles hatch inside her, and the mucus from their gills continues to keep the acid at bay. While the tadpoles grow over the next 6 weeks, mommy never eats. Her stomach bloats so much that her lungs collapse, forcing her to breathe through her own skin. If that isn't the ultimate example of motherly love, I don't know what is, and I personally don't want to know. Eventually, though, she does give birth to her brood through propulsive vomiting, spewing them into the world as fully formed froglets. However, during the time when scientists wanted to fully study this amazing animal, they became extremely hard to find. The last specimen was seen in the wild in either 1979 or 1981, and despite extensive field surveys, none were ever found again. The last captive individual died in 1983, and the species was no more. Until a few years ago, of course, when Mike Archer and his team from the University of New South Wales were able to bring this once extinct creature back to life by using a process known as somatic cell nuclear transplantation. This meaning they deactivated eggs from the distantly related great-bearded frog and swapped the nuclei with that of the gastric brooding frog. To Mike and his team, thank you for all your hard work. Now we can look forward to seeing tiny vomiting frogs out in the wild again. Number 9. The crested gecko. The crested gecko is the perfect example of an animal bouncing back from extinction. More on that in a bit, but first let's actually meet the animal. Crested geckos, or cresties, are a member of the Diplodactylidae family of geckos native to Australia, New Zealand, and New Caledonia. They are among the largest gecko species and typically range from 6 to 10 inches in length, including 4 to 6 inches of tail length. Their most distinctive features are the hair-like projections found above the eyes, which greatly resemble eyelashes. Crested geckos also have 2 rows of spines that run from the sides of their wedge-shaped head to the base of their tail. Oh, and they don't have eyelids, so they use their long tongues to moisten their eyes and remove debris. They are actually a very popular pet, mainly because of the way they look and how easy it is to take care of them. But it almost didn't go that way, as they were thought to be long extinct. That is until they were rediscovered in 1994. When they were rediscovered, the trade of this animal was banned worldwide, but not before a couple of breeders in the US got a hold of some. And the rest, as they say, is history. Number 8. The Bermuda petrel. Like the dodo, which is probably the poster child for extinct birds, the Bermuda petrel was an island-dwelling bird whose existence was threatened by man. When Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean, it's thought that there were up to 1 million of the nocturnal seabirds on the then uninhabited Bermuda Islands. In the 1500s, passing Spanish sailors and the rats and pigs they brought with them feasted freely on the birds and their eggs during their pit stops on the North Atlantic Islands. In the 1600s, just 20 years after British settlement on Bermuda, the Bermuda petrel was declared extinct. Almost 400 years later, in 1951, Bermudan teenager David Wingate was one of a party of naturalists who rediscovered 17 nesting pairs of the gray and white bird. They were clinging to life on 4 rocky islets close to Bermuda's Castle Harbor. He became Bermuda's first conservation officer and worked tirelessly to support the petrel's reestablishment until his retirement. Now in his 80s, he still visits the seabirds he dedicated his life's work to. Number 7. The New Guinea singing dog. The New Guinea Highland wild dog has been proven to be the most ancient living wild dog. This species is thought to be the ancestors of domesticated dogs and has been feared extinct for more than 50 years. They are called singing dogs because of their love of howling, which probably didn't endear them to their neighbors. The species has been rediscovered in the forests and highlands of New Guinea at about 3,300 to 4,200 meters above sea level. In 2016, cameras documented the presence of at least 15 Highland wild dogs, including males, females, and cubs on Mount Punkak Jaya. It seems that scientists had a hunch that these dogs were actually extinct, even before the rediscovery. Between 2005 and 2012, there have been sightings of this species, but haven't been confirmed by solid evidence. According to scientists, the studies on these dogs give us a better and more detailed comprehension of these canines. Number 6. The pygmy tarsier. Indonesia's tiniest primate species, the pygmy tarsier is about the size of a small mouse. Weighing less than 2 ounces and measuring less than 4 inches from head to tail, with the tail accounting for most of this length, pygmy tarsiers are about 75% the size of other tarsier species. And yet, relative to their diminutive size, Mother Nature has fitted pygmy tarsiers with long limbs. And it's probably these limbs that also help them cling to life despite apparent extinction. Gursky Doyen of Texas A&M University traveled into the mountains of Sulawesi Island in Indonesia to confirm that the pygmy tarsier was unequivocally extinct, but ended up becoming the first person in more than 80 years to spot a live one. Many other scientific teams came before him, and all of them failed. It's currently unknown how many live specimens are out in the wild, leading to their data-deficient classification by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN. This means that not enough information is known in order for a better classification. That's why scientists are working diligently to find more of them, to better protect them. Number 5. The South Island Takahe. The South Island Takahe, or Notornis, is a flightless bird indigenous to New Zealand and the largest living member of the rail family. It was first encountered by Europeans in 1847, but the first recorded encounter with Takahe was in 1849. This is when a gang of dusky bay sealers found and followed the trail of a large and unknown bird. When pursued by their dogs, the bird ran with great speed, and upon being captured uttered loud screams and fought and struggled violently. 3 or 4 days later, they roasted and ate the bird, declaring it delicious. Yep, being delicious seems to be reason enough to cause extinction, as these birds were systematically hunted for their meat. After the final bird was captured in 1898 and no more were to be found, the species was presumed extinct, at least until 50 years later. Living Takahe were rediscovered in an expedition led by physician Jeffrey Orbell near Lake Tianau in the Murchison Mountains on the 20th of November, 1948. The expedition started when footprints of an unknown bird were near Lake Tianau. 2 Takahe were caught but returned to the wild after photos were taken of the rediscovered bird. The rediscovery of the Takahe caused great public interest. The New Zealand government took immediate action by closing off a remote part of Fiordland National Park to prevent the birds from being bothered. Their population is now steadily climbing, but it is still a protected species. Number 4. The Caspian horse. The Caspian horse holds the distinction of being both one of the oldest and one of the newest of horse breeds. Current archaeozoologic evidence dates the Caspian back to at least 3000 BC, predating other recognized breeds of horses. When the Persian Empire collapsed in 644 AD, its royal horse was lost for more than 1,000 years until its rediscovery in 1965. It was American Louis Farreau that rediscovered them. They were found by Farreau living around a remote village called Amal in a mountainous region near the Caspian Sea. This, being their last refuge from extinction, were in the Elburz Mountains at the southern edge of the Caspian, where locals would periodically catch them and breed them as workhorses. Small numbers of feral Caspians remain in remote areas near the Elburz Mountains of northern Iran. In Iran, a national Caspian stud farm, Persicus Farm, established by Louis Farreau, is maintained by the government. This once thought to be extinct creature is now considered a national treasure, and its future is looking brighter in its home country. Number 3. The Madagascar Serpent Eagle. Very rare and enigmatic, the Madagascar Serpent Eagle is a large raptor that is endemic to Madagascar. It occurs very locally in pristine eastern rainforest, where it hunts inside of the forest. They are among the world's most endangered raptors and was previously thought of as extinct until their rediscovery. It was rediscovered by Russell Thorstrom. On November 3, 1993, the scientist was walking through the dense forest of Madagascar's northeast coast when he spotted one of these presumably extinct birds, the first time in over 60 years. The discovery electrified biologists working to save Madagascar's wildlife. They estimate that the 900-mile-long island, located in the Indian Ocean off Africa's southeast coast, holds 5% of the world's living species. More than 150,000 of the nation's plants and animals, including the serpent eagle, exist nowhere else. Today, it is critically endangered. There are about number 2, the Smilodon. A while back, we did a list called 10 extinct animals scientists should never bring back to life. If this video is to be believed, then those scientists clearly weren't watching our videos, or just didn't listen to us. In this video, you see a happy couple walking their pet saber-toothed cat, also known as a Smilodon, down the streets of Los Angeles. Smilodons are vicious creatures, regularly hunting and feasting on thick-skinned prey like mastodons, horses, and bison. It probably ambushed its prey since its short legs limited its running speed. Its hunting strategy may have been to mortally wound its prey with its saber-like teeth, probably in the belly, and let the victim bleed to death. Smilodon, like most meat-eaters, may also have been a scavenger. So who in their right mind would want to bring them back to life? The good news is the animal in the video isn't real, but rather a very impressive piece of animatronics. The slinky Smilodon puppet, formerly a fixture at the National History Museum, was making its way to the La Brea Tar Pits Page Museum, where it will begin a new life as the star performer in the Ice Age Encounters program. And who was behind this amazing piece of puppetry? Why, no other than Jim Henson himself. Number 1. The Coelacanth. Coelacanths are elusive deep-sea creatures, living in depths of up to 2,300 feet below the surface. They can be huge, reaching 6.5 feet or more and weighing 198 pounds. Scientists estimate they can live up to 60 years or more. More importantly, they are the poster child for any creature that cheated extinction and made a comeback. It was thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Discovery in 1938 by a South African museum curator on a local fishing trawler fascinated the world and ignited a debate about how this bizarre lobe-finned fish fits into the evolution of land animals. Although not extinct, they are still classified as critically endangered. Well, at least one of its 2 species, with only 500 specimens out in the wild. Did we leave anything out? Let us know in the comments section down below.